Radiant Dawn is a historically controversial entry in the Fire Emblem franchise primarily because of its lack of motion controls. That said, it is a rather unique game in this series featuring 45 chapters spread out across 4 parts and a massive cast of 73 playable characters that you'll barely ever get to use because they all have very bad availability. I have held off on playing this game on my channel because of my childhood trauma from playing it on the original hardware, where the unskippable enemy phases were so long that I got frustrated and stopped playing Fire Emblem entirely for nearly a decade. But that's enough about the errors of my past. Instead, let's discuss the errors of my future. In this playthrough, I will tackle the game on hard difficulty, which interestingly removes basic gameplay features such as the weapon triangle and being able to check enemy ranges. So to make the game a bit less tedious and more interesting, without changing the difficulty too much, I patched the game to re-enable those features. Because of this game's unique structure and restrictive loss conditions, this game is probably one of the least Iron Man friendly Fire Emblem games. And so, while I do begin the run with Iron Man restrictions, I do eventually end up dropping them entirely, which is something I don't normally do. But once you discover the particular circumstances behind this, I think you'll understand. The game begins with a cutscene of soldiers searching for the eponymous Dawn Brigade, which is a ragtag band of Dayan rebels who fight to resist a brutal occupation of their homeland following the events of the previous game. Micaiah, our decoy protagonist, tries to hide but is soon discovered. Fortunately, the timely arrival of Soth, a recurring character from FE9, allows her to escape unscathed. We then cut to a few days later with the Part 1 prologue of Radiant Dawn, which is a standard Fire Emblem Bandit intro map. Here, we are introduced to the Dawn Brigade, who might be among the most worthless set of early game characters in Fire Emblem history. Here, we get the Light Mage Micaiah, who is our lord and a strange character because trading her does not really make her more useful. We also get Edward the Myrmidon, who has roughly -3 lines of dialogue. And a few turns in, the archer Leonardo also joins, and he is a complete liability in every sense of the word. The prologue is a rather simple and straightforward map, and I decided to mainly focus on training Edward, who is currently the least bad unit that I have. After defeating all of the bandits as well as the boss, the Banyan soldiers show up, forcing us to flee. Here, the main antagonist of Part 1, General Gerard, is introduced, and after a small bit of expository dialogue, he decides to murder his own subordinate in cold blood.